Mr. President, the senator from Michigan, Senator Stabenow, and I have been really working all day with the Chrysler president and his team, and with the White House and their team, and the task force and their team, to try to give the assurances to the dealers who are the 789 dealers who are going to be put out of business across our country by Chrysler, with the 3-week notification that they will be able to recoup the costs of the inventory that has been left on their property and in their dealerships. And I said I was going to hold up any shortening of the time period for this bill to be considered until I got a letter of assurance. The original amendment, for which we have 37 co-sponsors, was to extend the time by 3 weeks to allow the dealers to be able to sell more inventory, have a more orderly transition. In fact, what we have done in consultation with the dealers, I think, is going to be much better. It's not everything that they had hoped for, but if there is good faith in this effort, it is going to be good for the dealers. But it will take good faith. Here is the letter that the president of Chrysler, James Press, has sent to me, and with Senator Stabenow as well being one of the people who has been talking about this and negotiating. It says, "Dear Senator Hutchison, I assure you that our process for redistributing the product from Oldco, which is the old company dealers who are going to be put out of business, to Newco, which are the dealers that will survive, is designed to assure that products flow quickly and efficiently from every Oldco dealer. As part of this process, we will ensure that the Oldco dealers receive a fair and equitable value for virtually all of their outstanding vehicle and parts inventory. We have more than 200 representatives in the field that are working to ensure that we make good on this commitment as quickly as practical. We have a very robust system in place to manage the sales to Newco dealers, as well as the inspection and shipment to the new dealer. Thanks to your input today, we have added a new set of assurances and information for the Oldco dealers, with the intention of removing some of the uncertainty that naturally surrounds this process. Each Oldco dealer will receive a daily report which specifically outlines each unit of inventory and its place in the transition process. We share the objective of selling these vehicles as quickly as possible to protect residual values. We are committed to sell every unit possible by June 9, prior to the resumption of production of the company. Thank you for your time and interest today. Our goal is to ensure that every dealer realizes a soft landing and is able to transition smoothly." Senator Stabenow and I called Mr. Press for a clarification of some of the parts of this letter. The biggest concern, of course, that the dealers have is getting the inventory that they have paid for off their books, and that is their biggest concern. We were assured that the 200 representatives that are going out to help this orderly and quick transition will have make every effort to expedite the transition to the surviving dealerships as quickly as possible. This will include specialized tools as well as parts, inventory, and outstanding vehicles. I said, what happens after June 9? Because the June 9 deadline is good when you are trying to expedite, but then you're not saying that you won't keep helping after June 9. They said absolutely not. Mr. Press said that they will certainly continue to help until every part of this transition, of this inventory, is disposed of. And the help will be there after June 9. That was the assurance that was given. The major thing that has happened that has been helpful is that GMAC has received, as we all know because it's public, in the range of $7.5 billion for financing, which will be available to the new surviving dealerships, Chrysler and I'm sure General Motors as well. And so the new dealers will have the ability to finance the taking of the inventory off of the dealers who are going to be put out of business. So that is probably one of the most important components here, because there had to be a lending source for the new dealers to absorb the new inventory. And I think the biggest concern left for the dealers is the floor plan loans that they have for the inventory that is there, and how that would change after June 9. I asked that question, and basically the answer is we're going to try to do everything possible to get these transitions out before June 9, so that you will not have, hopefully, the problem of loans being modified. And so that is, I think, the essence of the conversation and the questions that I asked for clarification. And I ended by saying that I think we are much further ahead now than we were when the letter arrived on May the 14th to the dealers saying we're not going to buy inventory, we're not going to buy parts, and we're not going to buy the specialized tools, and you have 3 weeks to deal with this. We've come a long way from there. And I said to Mr. Press and to his team that I did appreciate this effort and the better clarification, but we will know in 2 weeks if the good faith that is represented in this letter is in fact implemented. And they agreed with that, and I think that we have made a step in the right direction. I think the implementation, and when my dealers call and say, under the circumstances, it's not what we had wanted, but we have been treated as fairly as possible and have certainly gotten the relief from the burden of inventory so that we can deal with the employees who will not be with us anymore, and the land and the real estate and the other costs of closing an ongoing business. So I would just say to my colleague from Michigan that I don't think that any of this would have happened without her stepping in, and hands-on efforts were made to bring the White House in, the Chrysler in, my staff, her staff. So it was certainly a team effort, and I want to thank the 37 co-sponsors of my amendment, because I think that was a clear indication that over 1/3 of this United States Senate was not going to let this go the way that it had been left at the time. So if there is goodwill in this whole effort for the next 2 weeks, then I am optimistic that it will have a good result. And I would like to ask that the letter written to me by James Press today be made a part of the record.